Hello, my most amazing artists. Today you're going to get your Pete the Cats back. We drew our Pete the Cats using ink markers or ink bottles. The number one rule was don't squeeze the bottle. Then last week we used fancy new metallic oil pastels to learn and create our very own patterns on our Petes. We made pattern Petes using different color oil pastels, not to color in, but to make lines, designs, and that word we learned, patterns. Laurel Burch was the artist that we looked at who made a lot of silly patterns on her cats. She used a lot of bright colors and a lot of patterns. So we are inspired by Laurel Burch's cats as we get ready to color them. The reason we didn't color in with our oil pastels is because today we're going to use paints. Now these are watercolor paints. You'll notice that there is a space in between your colors. It's not because one's missing, it's because it's separating the warm from the cool colors. These are cool colors over there. The blue might look like it's missing, but it has a lot left. All you need is some water to make it work. It's not empty, it just needs some water to magically make it work. So you dip in the water. If it starts to drip, wipe it on the lip. No, not your lip, silly. The lip is the edge of the bowl. Never ever tap your brush because Mr. Paintbrush says, ow, ow, ow. And you want to keep his hairs in a point. Never ever a bad hair day. We also want to keep it a ballerina on tippy toes. So boys and girls, do we hold our paintbrush here? What about here? Oh no, that's the danger zone. What about up here? Nope. What about there? Yep, on that comfy little pillow. Then I dip. If it starts to drip, wipe it on the lip. I can also use the sponge, especially if I'm changing my colors and need to wash my brush. Never ever tapping. Don't forget that to keep Mr. Paintbrush with a good hair day, because I always give you the best paintbrushes. Now I dip, then I go ahead and swirl around in the paint. Notice I don't dig around in that paint. I just dance on top of it, swirl it around a couple times, and I'm good to go. Now I do have to dip back in the water if my paintbrush starts to get scratchy. If I notice the lines are getting scratchy, that means he's thirsty. He needs some water. So I dip back in the water, then back in the paint, and I glide my paintbrush across my paper. There he goes, getting thirsty again. So I get more water and more paint. You actually need more water than paint. That's why it's called watercolor, because you need water to make this color work. When you're working, make sure you never ever smash your paintbrush down on its bottom. You want to keep your paintbrush a ballerina on its tippy toes. Never ever scooting around on its bottom, because nobody wants to go to the booty scooting ballet. So make sure you keep that paintbrush a ballerina on its tippy toes. Alright, I painted my Pete the Cat blue because in real life he is Pete the cat, and he is blue. But because I'm inspired by Laurel Burch, she uses a lot of different colors. So if you want to paint your cat a different color, you can. I'm going to leave the eyes white. We don't have a white paint, so if you want anything white, you have to leave it. Then I wash my paintbrush really, really good. I give it a really good bath before I change my color. If I forget to give it a bath and I mix the colors in the paint tray, I might have to take a painting break. Every time I go to use a new color, I always wash my brush. Uh-oh, Miss Q even made a little bit of a mess and she got some orange in her yellow paint. Yikes, I guess I was moving too fast. So make sure that you take your time, wash your brush, and never ever mix the colors together. If you want to mix colors, you have to do it on your paper, not in the color pans, never in the watercolor tray. Because now I have a little bit of a yucky yellow, but I'm going to clean it up by adding some water, dancing around in that paint, and gliding my brush across. Now, I am really pressing lightly. I'm never ever smashing my brush down. Not only does nobody want to go to the booty scoot and ballet, but it also might smear your oil pastel, and that would look yucky. Another thing I do is I'm going in rainbow order. Although you can paint your background whatever color you want, your background's what's behind your Pete the Cat, in the back of him, I would suggest moving along in rainbow order. You don't have to paint a rainbow, but if you were to mix the warm colors with the cool colors, you would get muddy brown. And you already have a brown there at the end of the paint tray, so there's no reason to mix your colors together on your background or your Pete the Cat and get brown. So please make sure you're washing your brush really well. And if you are working on your paper, try to keep your warm colors away from your cool colors. That's why there's a space in between to remind you that they don't mix very well. They make muddy brown. When I'm all done and color in all of my white space and there's not any little parts that I could paint, I wash my paintbrush, I put it back on the tray, and I'm going to hold my painting with 2 hands and carefully bring it to the drying rack. That's right, boys and girls, you know where to put a wet painting. With 2 hands, like the most important pizza you've ever carried, to the drying rack. Then I use my art wipes to wipe off my hands if I have any mess, wipe my area in case I got some paint on it, and then I'm good to go. I leave everything on the tray how I found it in the middle of the table. I clean up my hands, my area, and I am good to go. If there's time, you can work at centers. If not, we just wait for those cleanup and line up directions. All right, artists, have fun today.